Time and possible COVID waits for no woman. So I don't know how long I'm going to be today because I am not well. I don't know what's going on. I feels like the flu. Everybody's been screaming at me to test for COVID. So I just don't have the result yet. I will have the result in about 10 more minutes. Oh my goodness. So, of course, I have to get sick right in the middle of all this going on with Katie. Yesterday evening, it was funny. I canceled this because I was feeling so horrible yesterday during the day. But come evening, I started perking up a little and I was like, why did I cancel this? Well, while I was cruising around, Steve McRae was on talking about Katie Joy. He was going through the big long thing she posted yesterday, taking it bit by bit, and I was outraged over one of the paragraphs, and so I went on there to talk about that. There was a whole lot of crazy going on with that document, and we pretty much went over it. It was a fear-mongery thing. Hey, Christine, it was a fear-mongery thing that basically said that she was going to do this, she was going to do that. She hadn't done these things, that we'd all made up this crap against her, and they were contacting others about her left and right. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not contacting anybody about her. She made a lot of claims about being called out. She made a lot of claims, hey, Jan, about all of us having, quote, defamed her. And she called Todd Chrisley a convicted felon again and again and again. And if I was Todd, I would be furious this morning, because it was pretty awful what she said, calling him out. And there's been some controversy about whether she managed to get some of the podcasts of his down. As of last night, when Steve and I were looking, we didn't see that anything had been removed. But this morning, people are telling me, and I haven't had a chance to go back and confirm, but they're telling me that the podcasts have been removed. If that's the case, I feel sorry for her. Her mother was pulling his hair out. She said Todd was stalking her. Yes, she did say that. The thing that upset me the most about the thing I was concerned about, is she said that she was going to figure out, her lawyer was going to subpoena and figure out who was talking to Todd and who'd said what. Girlfriend, let me save you legal work. I talked to Todd. I know others who talked to Todd. And the only thing we shared with Todd was our history with you. I told him that you stood me up, which happened. I told him you lied about it to your subs, which happened. I can prove it happened. You started taking my content. Those are the things. What about calling out the nice young man in the bright white coats for her? That's something her family has to do. Her family has to do that. I am afraid that we are not the people that can call out the nice young men in the white coats with that lovely designer jacket they put on you. That's all smoke and mirrors. She's trying to intimidate people, but it's not working. Christine, the only thing she did was make me angrier. Okay, I was already pretty damn angry at her. But when she started threatening yet again that she was going to have legal repercussions for you didn't miss much. You just showed up right as I started talking, that there was going to be legal repercussions, and they were going to chase down everybody who had talked to Todd Chrisley about her. So I don't know. I just know that it's all so stupid and trifling. And I don't have COVID. Yes. Happy. Started testing right before. So yeah, I don't have COVID. Good. It's just the flu, and I had a flu shot almost 2 weeks ago. So apparently it's not the strain. So anyway, long story short, this thing of hers. She was weaving this story that was like this tapestry of lies. She was trying to intimidate other people with it. She won't send more form letters for people to sing about. She might, John, and I have thought about that. Foam, thank you. It's just a pesky little virus. I'm living on toast and toast applesauce and a couple other things, and I'm not happy with it. But she did all this. So I went on to Steve's last night and we went through those documents, and they're pretty bad. It's just another attempt of her to control the narrative so that she looks like the hero and everybody else looks like, well, I'm going to use the word GOAT, even though I noticed some people are using GOAT as an acronym for something awesome. When I was raised, being called a GOAT was something bad. Hey, Melanie. So she is now saying all this crap again, trying to control the narrative, trying to drive everybody into a fearful. Good to see you, Erica. Trying to just really just shut us all down. That's all that document was about. She's spinning some crazy stuff about Molly Golightly. She's saying Molly Golightly is stalking her. I don't think any such thing. She's saying the same thing about Justin. She's saying that she talked to the FBI about both of them and about a whole pile of other people. And I just cannot imagine that the FBI would take any of this seriously, because it's internet drama is what it is. And Steve and I have the exact same goal in mind. We want her to stop defaming other people. We want her to just start behaving in a responsible fashion. You know, if she actually sourced everything, because one of the things that's come up with the Todd Chrisley thing that I think is fascinating is apparently she told them that she got her information on Todd blackmailing his daughter from an unnamed crew member, somebody whose name she didn't even get, because she's a reporter. Well, here's the thing. Most everybody I know who's a reporter or even writer to research crap has a notebook filled with notes. Okay. I have a box of them because when I'm researching stuff I'm writing about or I'm talking about, it goes in here, my thoughts. I tend to do better if I do that. I didn't do that for this one. I started to, but it was just like too sickening to do that. And she still hasn't given up the sources for Todd. No, she has not. I'm so tired of her too, T King. I'm hoping after I vomit this up, this will be the last time in a while I talk about her, because she is so damn predictable. I will say this, she's so damn predictable and it got in my mind so much. I found out I had all these wonderful Bristol boards, okay? I had over 100 of them. So I started yesterday just very, very, very briefly drawing up some of the cards for the game. I've got to find my markers and my watercolor pencils before I can finish them. But I started playing around with that. It's just unbelievable. So she hasn't given up the source for Todd. She's claiming it was an unnamed production or crew member. Steve and I were talking about that last night. Instead of what it probably was, it was somebody that, if anybody told it to her, it would have to be somebody with a giant axe to grind with Todd. I hate pathologizing people, but KJ's actions speak of someone with an addiction and other various mental issues. She needs to gain perspective and get some real help. Foam, I believe that too, and I want her to get help. Hell, I've been through therapy. It's the most helpful thing in the world. My therapist can tell you I call sometimes when I'm having difficulties, issues, and do a follow-up session. Everybody needs to do that every now and then. Not all the time. You don't necessarily need to go, but it's nice to have somebody who is unbiased, who's outside your situations, where you can go to them and say, hey, I got X, Y, and Z going on. I think W about it. Can you tell me if I'm viewing this in a right way? Very helpful. The last time I had to do that, I had a narcissistic family member that was trying to gaslight me. And I didn't know anything about narcissism. I had not dealt with many narcissists, but my therapist heard my tale and said, you're dealing with a malignant narcissist. Oh, excuse me, a covert narcissist. So now I know quite a bit about it. She has talked about being in therapy before. Yes, Purple, she did talk about that. She has talked about it, and she talked about it last night on the crap she was spewing about having been. Oh, are you, Melina? Que te importa? You are? That's awesome. I am a big fan of therapy, and I tell everybody coming out of fundamentalist religions, you have to go into therapy. I mean, there's no other way around it. Not every therapist is suitable for recovery from toxic religions. And there are some that specialize in it. I was lucky. I actually found a lady who was a Christian as well as a UVA board certified clinical psychologist who helped me tremendously when we were leaving our old church. She helped my husband and myself. It was, yeah, I'm shocked that the Duggars haven't sued her amount. The amount and ways that she speaks to them with all those lies could really give the Duggars an easy win. Hey, little mousy girl. Yeah, I hear you. Stop by, say hello, and ditch if you need to. I don't have a problem with that. I can't figure out why the Duggars don't sue her either, because they used to be extremely litigious over people using their images and all sorts of things. So I am not sure. Therapy saved my life. Had the best as a child. You adult. Thank you to all therapists helping people. Yes, thank you. Oh, you're licensed clinical social worker. Awesome. I used to work at the national company that handed out those, that tested for those licenses. That was one of the longer stretches of regular employment I had for a while. So back to KJ and away from therapy. She really used therapy bad. I mean, even if just to offload the tension she's got to be feeling. I think if Katie Joy had a good therapist, I'd tell her to get off of YouTube, and she would never do that. Susan, I think that was one of the reasons why I think she didn't go on Dr. Phil. She said she didn't go on Dr. Phil because she didn't think it was necessary. If she'd have gone on Dr. Phil, he would have tried to link her up with a therapist. And the big takeaway would have been, get off of YouTube. It would have been, get off YouTube, get off Instagram, get off Facebook, get off it all. I can see when that would be useful. And there's times when I take a mental timeout. I've taken more of them lately because of my book. It's been like pulling hooks from flesh. It's not been fun. But I feel driving need to do it and to finish it. So I think if she had a good therapist, they'd tell her to get off YouTube. And I think she really should, because everything that's been going on is clearly messing with her mind. Now, I haven't watched any of the things from last night. I haven't even watched Llama Girl's clips. But it's pretty obvious last night that she was super tense and super upset. And there might have been some drinking going on. I don't think that's good at all. I don't see how she's getting away with that on YouTube, because YouTube has been very, very upfront that they don't like you putting, corn or using any kind of substances, being intoxicated, none of that. I think the Duggars are trying to lay low. A lawsuit would bring them to the surface. Purple, yes, it would. So I've often wondered if the Josh thing did not delay them suing her. I'm hoping once they regroup, they will. Even if she wanted to, she seems to be the main breadwinner of the family. So logging off isn't really an option at the moment. John, she should just change what she's talking about. Talk about the difficulties of raising a child with chronic illnesses um, without religion, which is what she was originally supposed to talk about at Pathos. And now that he's older, it doesn't even need to be anything recent. She could be talking about best ways to handle having a feeding tube and having your child going to school or around or whatever. There's so many positive things that she could focus on to bring the money in. Hey, Ginger Lee, I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're doing well. So the things that she could focus on, so many, and still bring in the money. And I look at all the stuff she said and done about different people. Even if she just covered reality TV in a more respectful manner, that might work. But she needs to quit accusing everybody and their brother of crimes. Busy last week. Oh, no, that's like, because like right now, example, she clearly said that Dre McCray fed her husband kratom, got him all high and looped up, and then tried to unalive him. That it wasn't a suicide, it was attempted M. God, I hate that YouTube makes us use stupid acronyms. She could do so much more talking about other things that don't involve drama and things she doesn't know well enough about. She has the skills and knowledge of YouTube to do well. Exactly. For a while, she worked selling students on going to the university she worked for, the online thing. She could talk about that, like best ways to get scholarships. So many things that she could talk about that would be so much more positive. If she keeps going after Anna and the kids are reporting to CPS, I think the Duggars would sue. I don't think necessarily it would be her reporting the Anna to the CPS. I think it would be her followers. Her followers are a bunch of little S-weasels if I've ever seen them. They are thoroughly unpleasant people that will do anything that she plants in their little tiny brains. KJ is guilty of premeditated. Yeah, she did unalive that bottle of wine, I believe. And there's nothing wrong with drinking or having a glass of wine. There is something wrong about getting looped up, going on social media and going after everybody. She deleted her Facebook Live within seconds, then went to Instagram Live. I'm not surprised, Rob, because she is notorious for that. Nor Jasmine, as a YouTuber, does videos on cults. KJ loves cults. She could take a lesson from that channel. Nor doesn't go personal with those involved. KJ calls those involved nuts. See, here's the thing, too. We were talking about this last night, Steve and I were. Does anybody know anyone that she has actually helped get out of a C word? I'm waiting. I know no one, no matter how many times she claims she is the breaker of the C word. I've never met anybody. Yes, she can go live on Instagram again. She started going live again last night. And that's kind of ironic because I can, Agent Steve, yes, Agent Steve. Good Steve, bad Steve. I'll have to include a good Steve, bad Steve card in my set card game. I had to figure out what the game was first. It was actually pretty easy, and then the thing is just writing itself. Does she even post help resources for people looking to leave CULTs? No, John, and she does not counsel victims. I've had a number of people leaving these things reach out to me in every way possible. And for a long time, I tried to help everybody. Now I've taken kind of a step back from that. And when people contact me, I tend to be more stepped back from that. Why? Well, because I'm only one person and I've had significant health challenges the last 3 years. And I don't have the energy for it. It takes a lot of energy. I always pass them off now if I can to their local resources because there usually is some kind of type of local resource that you can turn to. Many communities have counseling. They have counseling options available. All you have to do is contact your community, and they will put you in touch with a counseling group, usually with a sliding scale of payment, so it doesn't bankrupt anybody. Susan, that is amazing that you would say I look great, because I'm not wearing, I didn't do the powder and the lipstick like I usually do. I did wear my favorite earrings again, but I'm wearing a nightgown and a pair of leggings right now, and I managed to brush my hair, and that's about it. I have no idea if it is true or not, but I heard people who are in strict churches and evil the world is because of her. Oh, I don't know, but I would not doubt it, because she actually has not helped the cause of getting people out. I know of at least two, like help spirit you away groups that have been shut down because of her and what she said. She has stopped people from being able to leave CULTs, and I don't know if those groups will ever come back to life again. It's just that wicked, some of what she's done. So after reading that little Katie Joy thing last night, I'm sure I'm going to get another graham cracker email. This time I won't open it. I will just say no, because if you want any information from me, you're going to have to sue me through Costa Rican court. You're going to have to get a court order before I'll turn over anything. It's comical because she really wants my correspondence with Steve, and it's just large. Steve and I said last night, it's largely uninteresting to anybody but Steve or I. We're not always talking about her. We're rarely talking about her. Rarely. KJ needs a house to land on her and for someone to steal her ruby slippers. John, I was actually thinking about her in conjunction with that movie earlier today. I was thinking she's kind of like the great and powerful Oz when they pulled back the curtain and it was a tiny little nebbish man instead of the great and powerful Oz. That is how I view her. I want to give a huge shout out. I'm not necessarily a journalist. I'm a writer. I call myself a writer. I have written about cults for a long time. I still talk about them sometimes. I'm trying to write this stupid book. It's taking me forever. I could see her followers as the flying monkeys. Yes, John. I could see them as the flying monkeys too. When they land here, they always talk about my hair. And I'm just like, Jesus, can't you talk about my content? Tell me you think I suck because of my content. Don't go for the easy stuff like the hair and the number of followers. That's just the edge of stupidity that she is living on, her followers, that's what they find. To to make a big deal over it. And Todd's not backing off. I can tell you right now, I can tell from talking to Todd, he is as stubborn as a mule, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Got a lot of stubbornness here myself. He and 7M are not going to settle. There's not going to be any backing up. Even if he's on house arrest and waiting sentencing, he ain't backing up. And anybody can sue from anywhere in this world. I mean, anywhere in the U.S., anybody else. Hey, we're talking about the behaviors. I have never ever been around one until I moved to Texas. I got so depressed. I didn't leave my house or talk to anyone for almost 2 years after coming into contact with several. Rock, every time I visited Texas, I've noticed that. And I'm not a big fan of some parts of that state. There's some parts of that state that are absolutely lovely, and there are great people there, like Austin. There are parts of San Marcos I fell in love with. I watched live last night about KJ and all the trouble she's caused. I unsubscribed. Well, I'm sorry you had the experience that you had to find out that she was that wicked that it bust your bubble, because that's a hard thing. That is a very hard thing to deal with. It was really hard when I found out she was stealing my content. She'd done all that to me. Very hard. I hope he does take her down. I don't know. It's a compliment that they can't find fault with your comment to criticize. They have to go elementary school for looks. Yeah, I know. And I'm 62 years old. I don't expect to look like a 19-year-old fashion model anymore. I did that for a while. Oh, Todd Chris is going to mess it all up for KJ. I think it's going to be 7M. I don't think it's going to be Todd so much as it will be 7M. Even if Todd wins, 7M has the better claim with the tortious interference. And I think Justin Duggar, Seawall, also has a tortious interference claim, as well as Ginger. She and her little minions have stopped both of them many times from getting sponsorships by contacting their sponsors and telling a whole pile of lies about them. Content, yeah. I did not watch LB's live last night, but I know she has had significant negative interactions with Katie. When an entity has to call names or make degrading comments about appearance, they've lost the argument. Yes, and that is why I no longer mention her crooked chin or anything else about her appearance, because it's a low blow. If you don't have about her content, why go after that? Yes, she disrupted Jess's sponsorship. She's disrupted a ton of sponsorships for Ginger, Duggar, Violo. And I think she also should. Lindsay, I think it has to do with, I think the thing with her is that she seems to click all the boxes for narcissistic personality disorder. And I think that may be what's going on. It was horrible. There were multiple trolls. Everyone thought it was KJ and Todd. One of the things that she said that really made me laugh in her whole thing is she kept saying that she was not nonsense. And she misspelled that and miscapitalized it. It was kind of funny. I've been told maybe it might be Todd. I think the Dugs are waiting for something really big to go after that troll, but they won't get any money if they don't go after it first. Todd will turn the heat up and 7M will burn her. Yep, Carol, I think that's what's going to happen. She will ruin the case for Vaughn. She already has ruined the case for Vaughn, I think, because of some of the things that she said and done. The whole Cash App thing, that I got to give Erica credit. She was warning me about it. But I'm reluctant to take anything seriously from newbies because of the fact I've seen them screw up so many things that could have gone differently for taking down KJ. I've seen them. So unless I see legal paperwork, I tend not to believe. It is hypocritical of KJ to do that to Duggar daughters because she complains of the same things. Her actions harm the daughters more than her supposed saving. Yep. People were tearing her to shreds on Facebook, so she ended it and went to Instagram. Yep. Aaron had a good analogy for KJ. Yeah, I know, because Steve read it last night. I have to agree. And she makes it all about her, which is typically how somebody who might have personality disorders like narcissistic personality disorder or what's the other one? There's another one that she ticks all the boxes for. Somebody was saying schizophrenia, but I don't really know enough about schizophrenia to be able to tell you, yes, that was it. No, that was it. Another was Tia. I'm looking forward to the trial too, to the point where I'm thinking about making that trip to the Midwest because I have some places there I want to go see. Why not kill two birds with one stone? Borderline, that's it. Borderline personality disorder. She seems to tick the boxes for that one too. She got drunk on Instagram. Yeah, that's what I've heard. AJ keeps saying that Vaughn's family has to be paying Molly, Justin, and Elle, because otherwise, why would they be doing it? I went deflected, KJ. We all know she would take the dollars. Yep. Yes, Christine, histrionic personality disorder fits her as well. I'm thinking about it, number one fan, because I do need to make another US trip soon. I need to buy more shit. I didn't buy enough when last time I was here. Hey Beth. Hey Beth Idol. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it, Carol. I have a friend, a good internet friend that I could visit when I'm there. She said she's not an advocate. And she tries to say other times she's an advocate. It's like, please make up your mind. What are you? You have to decide early on who you are and what you're going to be. Please don't ban me for saying this. KJ's the same traits as. No, I'm not going to ban you for that because I believe that too. We've all said it. You live in Kansas City, Missouri. I've been through there. Of course, I'm late. Well, we're just discussing all the crap that came out last night. I always miss your lives. Debbie from Mississippi. Hey, Debbie. I've been through that part of the world too many times, too. Jodi Arias. I don't know enough about that one to be able to compare her, but Jodi Arias is a pretty wicked gal, as far as I can say. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much. So last night, she was real intoxicated and was saying all kinds of stuff. All I know is the document that Steve was reading through that I got, that I was jaw dropped reading through it myself, was all it is spin. It's 100% spin to try and make herself look better for everything upcoming with the different lawsuits and with everybody accusing her of everything. Agent Steve from the FBI that also talked to about Todd. Yeah, she stalked her boyfriend. Came through doggy door. Yep. I want to go to the Mall of America, so I might drive up there. It's why I was trying to figure out the distance and times. Carol, I haven't been to the Mall of America in years, and I was thinking that would make a nice stop as well. That would be something. I'm usually not a big fan of consumerism, but let me tell you, living in a place where shopping is scarce can drive you into the arms of consumerism. And it's funny because my kids always pick on me because they are like, where do you want to go? And I said, Walmart. And they know that I don't like Walmart. And when I was in the States, I never shopped there. Well, I've learned here, you can't shop and you got to buy things. Like I always hit Walmart for a swimsuit cover up, a nightgown, and a couple pairs of yoga pants. I get everything else elsewhere. Suzette, but I am quite happy. I don't have COVID according to the test, so I could not be happier about that. I will take sick to my stomach and other stuff, congestion in my lungs and runny nose. I'll take that. No COVID. I might just call the Minnesota FBI and ask for Agent Steve. Carol, I wouldn't recommend that. I don't ever recommend going real life. But I do have to put FBI Steve in as a card when I do my game. There was a shooting, nobody, but I think it was two people who were actually beefing. It wasn't a mass shooting. She claims to be an advocate for the Duggar stuff, but when people started questioning her, when she started on the 7M stuff, she said she wasn't an advocate. Yes. My 15-year-old daughter was at Mall of America the other day, and they went on lockdown for an active shooter. Last time she went, there was an active shooter? Oh, my goodness. No COVID. Yeah. These little tests come in handy because if you're living here in Costa Rica, I got my set from the U.S. government, same as everybody, at my daughter's house. So in Costa Rica, you have to trek your happy ass to the doctor and get them to write the referral for you to have the test, and then you have to pay out of pocket, and insurance will not reimburse you for it. I just took my test. Oh, yeah, okay. Beth Idol, that's great. Oh, was there? Rock, was that in the FDLS or just the regular LDS? Because some of that stuff goes on in regular FLDS. And I have had some interaction there with the FDLS too. The whole thing at Mall of America was over Nike's and a shoe store. Silly. That's really a silly reason to fight. Yeah, I'm going to have to research that and do a thing on the FDLS. I have nothing but empathy for those girls that get out because it is a horrible way to live. You know, I used to joke with one of my close friends back in the late 90s about there are certain people I would be a sister wife for in a heartbeat. And we used to laugh and say, think of the benefits. The cooking and the cleaning would be split between wives. You wouldn't have to put up with the man all the time. But it just looks like a miserable way to live for everybody. We got our home tests from Costco for much cheaper than anywhere else we already used our free ones. Beth, I'm going to have to get my daughter to pick some up and ship them to me, wrap them and call them something else because you can't really ship healthcare anything over here. You have to bring it in your suitcase. And that's what's so frustrating. There's certain things you can't do anything health and beauty. You can't do anything that is like a drug or anything. You can't do anything that is a food item. There's a whole long list of things you just cannot import here. So you have to mule them back in your suitcase. 5 for $20 at Costco. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to send my daughter to get those for me then. I love Costco. I'm just gonna say that. Our Costco here, PriceSmart does not carry them. Even though, I think I'm gonna ask. Because I get all my medications filled there. They're cheaper than anybody in Costa Rica. So Katie, like I said, I wish she would come up with different content. There was a little girl killed down in South Missouri due to a religious cult this past spring. 10 to Life did a video, and I'll have to take a look at that too. I sometimes get really upset when I watch coverage on these things, not with other creators, but especially in the news, because I don't think the news has no clue about the subcontext behind all this stuff. I have had people tell me, oh, that's such a sweet little whatever. It's like, no, it's coded language. This means this means that, this means this. There's abuse going on. And it's really sad. And that's the part of my book I'm writing on. I'm writing on not coded language, but thought crimes. Because we were all taught that to even think certain things was a crime, was a sin. If you only get one set of the government test, you can get another set. Now, I'm going to have to apply for another one. The news doesn't seem like the news anymore. Mostly opinion pieces calling themselves the news. John, exactly right. And the thing is, it's done all over the spectrum. I listen to NPR and I will watch the BBC and sometimes RT. When I can get RT in English, it doesn't always come across that way. And my Spanish is not that good yet. So you're right. It is mostly opinion pieces. And this is the thing that is disgusting about all of this is the culture, the news culture that spawned at Katie Joy. Without the slant of news going towards opinion pieces, we would not have a Katie Joy. Make sure it's not made in China. They have nanofibers on the Q-tip. Ugh. No, she's never going to grow up. And I have a theory about that, faith in humanity. When you are traumatized as a child, you stay at that level emotionally for the rest of your life. And I think that's what we're seeing. I think with her, we're seeing something that happened to her that was traumatic, some kind of PTSD from a very early age, and she has stayed stuck emotionally at about middle school. CC Suarez, I heard about that last night, and I went in and looked. Go, girl, but expect that she's going to try to sue you. I just received my second set of tests at the post office, and I was told I could receive one more set. Awesome. Only under microscope. Okay, Debbie, that's a good thing to know. It's a good thing to know. And I had an interesting experience in the States that I think everybody needs to consider. When I had to do an emergency refill on one of my prescriptions because I had misordered when I was here and I ran out there. Not all drugs are created equal. And anything coming from China may well not even contain what it is that you need. Hey, Patricia. So that's my little advice. Just be careful with generic drugs, because that one really messed me up. I'm still recovering from it. So Cece Suarez says she's going to do a deep dive on KJ. She's going to look at all of the lawsuits. She's going to look at tax records. She's going to do all the same things that KJ does to her victims. All the same things. I would bet that trauma had to do with rejection. Consider her nuclear reaction to rejection as an adult. John, I think so. And I think it had to do with lack of praise in the household. Why do I say that? Because when I knew her at Pathos, and we talked all the time on Messenger, the thing she seemed to need the most was propping up and atta girls. She was always angry that Dale McGowan, my brain's going haywire again, refused to compliment her. And the thing is, we weren't the kind of bunch that you got a lot of compliments from. We were kind of a bunch of people that were kind of fighty and bitey and competitive with each other. I think we're friendly enough, but there was a lot of competition going on for eyeballs on the page. And Dale complimented those that never made typos and that got the eyeballs on the page with original content. Since Katie Joy was unable to do that unless she was pulling it out of her rear end, and even then there were so many typos many times that she was in trouble. I have a video of children sewing masks on a dirty floor. They were kids in a filthy room. Debbie, I'm not surprised at that either. That is why I made my own masks for the pandemic. And except for my N95s, I hang on to my N95s even to this day. I use them for when I'm coming in contact with something that I can smell that is making me ill. I am not a bit surprised because I know China has done so many things, and the world seems to allow them to get away with these human rights violations, which is unfortunate. And now they're supposedly coming after the U.S. and they've hooked up with Russia. I think things are going to get a whole lot worse before they get better in the States. So she's the main support of the family. That's really unfortunate. We've heard several different stories about why her husband lost his job and why he's not going back. I don't know what's going on there. Confidence comes from within, not by praise. Just another crazy Karen. Exactly. And we, like I said, we were not the type of people that were ever going to give out warm fuzzies to her or anyone else. Well, I dislike her actions. I feel she is disgusting. I do feel such pity for her. Same. She has to be miserable within her own soul. She was overweight, had no chin, and young teens are cruel. Carol, that is all true. I'm sure in middle school she was probably made fun of. God knows I was. I wasn't fat, but I had. Do you hear that lovely bird song right outside the window in the tree? I think she probably is quite miserable. I think middle school was miserable for her. Middle school was miserable for me because I had glasses and I was super thin then. What happened? So it's a miserable time for many of us, and we don't have our adult bodies in or our adult brains. If China follows through on their threats of conquering Taiwan, we'll be in trouble since many microchips are manufactured there. John, that is why Biden is trying to sign some paperwork to make sure that companies are encouraged to make microchips here. And I think they should. Go to some place like West Virginia where everybody is unemployed and teach those people how to do microchips. I think that is that is something that needs to happen. The reason I say West Virginia is I've driven through there and it's crazy. It's just crazy. As much as I hate on KJ, I feel bad for her. So do I. I don't think her marriage is happy. Everybody started saying recently that Todd abuses her. I've seen no evidence of that beyond the few little bruises. She never confided that in me. I would hate to make that accusation because it's quite damning and hurtful to say that. It was miserable for me because I'm Irish. Why were they making fun of you for having milk white skin? Because that's the only thing I've ever seen Irish. Well, there was an active shooter in Mall of America last Sunday. Thank God no one was hurt. Yes, Rock. I saw that too. West Virginia definitely needs help. Yes. I've driven through there and just been jaw dropped at the poverty of people living in converted chicken coops and just crazy stuff. And you're just like flabbergasted because you can't believe that people go through that. Off subject. This lady got up and her tree in the front yard was full of robins. Hers was the only house with lots of robins. Isn't that interesting how birds decide whether they're going to go or whatever? I was telling one of my best friends the other day about experience I had when I left the airport here recently when I came back. I'm sitting by the side of the road and on my suitcases, my pile of suitcases, I brought the world back. And a bird came up to me and was standing in front of me and looking at me like, okay, lady, make with the food. I'd never laid eyes on this bird before. It was a little sparrow. But it somehow knew I was the person to approach for food because I do feed animals that approach me all the time, even though it's against the law here. Yeah, hate watching Katie fans. Call Costa Rica's government and tell them to arrest me for feeding animals. Yes, that is my crime. That's the biggest crime I've ever committed. Do you think she's resentful that her child is 100%? Yes. I think that she feels gypped or cheated, that she didn't have the same experience as everyone else. I don't know why she just didn't have another child, if not for nothing else, the cord blood. Because some of the things she shared with me about his health, I think I'd be banking cord blood. I tried with my daughter and it just did not work. I heard that during the Josh Duggar trial, she's making $50K a month. I don't know about it. Carol, that's possible. I once joked to her that I made $50K a month selling the tabloid stories on her, which was clearly a joke and not anything I meant with any seriousness. She took it seriously. I feel bad for her, not bad for her, sad that she likely won't listen to any loved one's concerns re her behaviors and well-being. Ginger, I think it's going to have to take hitting the bottom to make her change. And that's really sad. You're standing aside, you're watching this train wreck unfold in real time. I lived in Mississippi. It's the same thing. The poverty is horrible. Carol, it sure is, especially in northern Mississippi. I've seen some horrific sights driving through there. I have a hummingbird that will come into my sunroom and squeak at me if the feeder is empty. When we lived in Virginia, there were birds that would come up to the window and let me know the feeder was empty. And there was a squirrel that would take his head and bang on the window to let me know there were no peanuts out there for him. He would just come out and tell me. I laughed. Most of us didn't have it easy as a child. I grew up with an alcoholic father. It was hell. Just another crazy Karen. My mother is the one that had the problems, and it was kind of hell growing up. But I healed from all that. I took steps through therapy, and that's back to therapy again. Therapy, therapy, therapy. And I don't think that whatever therapy she has been through has been helpful enough. The only time she talks about her son is not good stuff. We have no social life because our son. There's no reason why she shouldn't have a couple of people that she trusts to come watch her son so she could have a social life. I live 5 blocks from Graceland. Oh, that's pretty amazing. I'm sure you've seen the poverty then, because there's a lot of poverty in Memphis, West Memphis, over the bridge into Arkansas, over to Mississippi. I wish I knew how to help, KJ. That's an excellent thought. helping her. Maybe we'll have to put together a live stream, Dear KJ, once a week and come up with ways to help her, suggestions, because I hate to see her suffer. And I know that's what she's doing. We were friends once upon a time. I would really like to see her do better. I'd like to see her helped. I'd like to see her be healed and well and whole. That for me would be the ultimate, seeing her well. Flint, Michigan was pretty rough. Yeah, Michigan, parts of Michigan were extremely rough. My husband's from there, and he grew up in Grand Rapids. When I go there with my husband, we've driven through Detroit, and it's just unbelievable all the stuff we're seeing. I could never talk him into moving back to Michigan. I wouldn't have minded living there. She needs an intervention. I think she does. Unfortunately, the show Intervention is not on TV, because if it was, that'd be a perfect fit. Dr. Phil, who did approach her, because a lot of us had contacted Dr. Phil and said, take a look at this. I think sometimes he does more damage than he does good, but at least he would have put her with a therapist. I don't think she listened to any help, unfortunately. Christine, I don't think so either, but I think that we almost have to. I think that somebody has to say something and say, hey, you're not well. You need to get help, and do this, do that, because she's clearly not going to listen to any of us. I wish I hadn't cut it off with her, because I might have been able to be a moderating influence in some of this had I known. She wouldn't do a Dr. Phil. She wouldn't do anything. It was her chance for that kind of fame. I know Carol, but I think she was more afraid of what he would say than any amount of fame could have bought her. My final straw, Lynn, was after she had stood me up, and I was upset because I was supposed to live stream with her one day. And I told her when she asked me, I said, and I have proof of this. I've got screen caps of our conversation on that day leading up to the day where she stood up. I told her, I said, my asthma is incredibly bad right now. The Sahara winds with the dust are coming through. I'm having a time of it. And when that happens, or when the volcanoes blow around here, I'm inside and I'm wheezing and it's awful. It's like take so many pills and so many neb treatments that you're rattling and shaking. So I told her I was in that frame and that was going on with me. And she said, hey, Donald, she said, you have to do what you got to do. And I said, well, I'll just double med. So I double medded that day, which I hate to do because that also, you pay a price for that as well. So when you have a chronic illness, you pay a price for a lot of things that you would not normally pay a price for. So when she stood me up on a day that I had double medded, I was pretty upset, but I wasn't cut her off upset at that point. And you're right. Louisiana's horrible too. I'm from Louisiana. She made me mad at that. Well, not mad. It was sadness. I had a lot of sadness when it happened. I was like, what did I do wrong? Hey, Christoph Van, I started immediately thinking that was my fault because the way I was raised and everything I've been through, that's one of those things that's still in here that I have to work on occasionally. So Steve McCrae reached out to me. Steve McCrae. And I said to him, yeah, I'll listen to you. And he told me all about his experiences with her. And then when he showed me she was plagiarizing me, for me, that was the last straw. I was like, enough. Because I knocked heads a couple of times with her already on Facebook. And with Pathos, when I was working there, I had knocked heads with her a couple times about content, about using things that I'd told her. So that was it. That was the thing that caused me to turn my back on her. She stole content from me. Nobody does that and gets away with it. Remember how sick you'd been and how you were tempted to talk to her. My thought was, why did she do all that to you? Well, Carol, I don't know, but let me say something about that. She told her subs that her and I had talked and we were cool, and she had yet to talk to me. She still has yet to talk to me. Now, I reached out to her when she was fighting with people one time and said, hey, can we bury the hatchet and just go our separate ways? And she basically said, that's not happening. And she attacked me. So as far as I'm concerned, the boxing gloves are off now. In Memphis, new highways, casinos have improved everything. Well, that's one decent thing about casinos, Debbie. I don't think they have in Louisiana. Yeah, Ginger, she did say it. And now she tells everybody I'm her stalker and that she doesn't know who I am. And that's after she told everybody I was her BFF. And there's still videos up where she called me her BFF. So I don't know why she wants to pretend that I don't know her. Donald, yes. And because of what happened, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to disappear from her life and not say anything. But when I talked to Steve McRae and he showed me the laundry list of people she'd hurt and hurt badly, I felt like to stay silent would be to be complicit in those things. So that's why I started speaking up, especially when she started with falsehoods about Pathos and her time at Pathos. It was just unbelievable. You worked at one for 16 years, dollars. Yeah, make that money, Debbie. I don't see anything wrong with that. Actually on panel at Claire's channel last night. John, I saw that and I stuck around for a few minutes, but I was so sick to my stomach, I finally just went and laid down. I'll have to join a few more of Claire's live streams and see what's going on. Check it out. When I got in there, you guys were talking about, what was it? Pegging. So I was like, I'm too sick to my stomach to listen about pegging. She said her and Todd both had ADHD. You know what that means, the meds. Debbie, I know. Sad. Very sad. Oh, John, no big deal. I wasn't there very long. I was just a few minutes. My sister blames everyone and doesn't take responsibility and didn't respect my boundaries. I had to stop contact with her. That's what KJ does. Exactly, Barbara. When she would become too overwhelming for me when we were both working at Pathos, I would just block her for a while. And there are people on Twitter say, you blocked me. I said, well, I blocked you for a while. It doesn't mean I'm blocking you forever. I may be blocking you for a month or a couple of months for my own mental health if you're fighting with people, and I don't have time for that. Does KJ have issues with everyone? What's it like in Louisiana? I've always wanted to go to that state. She has issues with almost everyone she's ever worked with, and with many of her subs, her former subs. She's had issues with everyone she's live streamed with. And I was tickled to see her live streaming with Sherelle because she and Sherelle got into it too. I remember 2 years ago when she was threatening to sue Sherelle. Louisiana is hot. That's all I'm going to say. It's hot. It's beautiful, but it's brutal in its own weird way. And I now live in Costa Rica, which is also equally hot as Louisiana ever was. There's a big difference. We don't have pollution here. We don't have heavy industry. We don't have paper mills. We don't have refineries. None of that made my life miserable in Louisiana because I was born with asthma. I had all kinds of problems from the time I was born until now with asthma. And they're telling me it's a wrecked immune system because of mast cell disorder. So Louisiana is a poisoned wrecked paradise. Go for a week, don't stay any longer. Does it seem to others that more and more are calling her out now? Christoph Ann, I think so. I think so. Sherelle is a queen. I don't know why she would lower herself to talk to, I'm not even going to call KJ the court jester, but a queen that lowered herself to talk to the alligator in the moat. That's all I can say. The greater KJ's platform grows, the more people see her for the horrible person she is. So it makes sense more calling her out. Sherelle will whip her to shreds. Well, I hope so, because she said a lot of nasty things about Sherelle. I tried to contact Sherelle with the screen caps for all the crap she was saying, but Sherelle blew me off. So I just posted them on my personal blog and left them there for anybody who wants to see. Because she kept talking to me about all these people that she was beefing with. And I would have no idea because I was still only writing at Pathos. I wasn't doing this. I hadn't even started a book. I'd done a lot of like notes for books, but that was it. And even now I do copious notes for books. And I seem like I have 3 or 4 writing projects going at the same time. And that's true. And I still do articles. I'm just writing under a variety of pseudonyms now because I don't want the hate. So this week has been just a crazy time with her, trying to cover up what she's doing. And I don't know why that is, why she would feel the need to do that, because when Tati Westbrook was suing her, Tati went radio silent. And I think that's the only way, if you're being sued, to go radio silent, or at least go radio silent about those things. You don't run around and threaten people with FBI Steve, and you don't run around doing a lot of the crap she has said and done. You don't double down on everything. I noticed she's no longer talking about, I'm making a note, FBI Steve. I got to add him in. She's no longer talking about 7M in any way, shape, or form. So how can so that's good. She's shutting up about them. She shut up about Chrisley and everyone else. Mr. IP Freely. That's not my pseudonym, but that's my pseudonym when I mess with Nigerian scammers. That's one of my IDs. I have a nun ID. I have Sir IP Freely. I have a little ghetto boy I call Kevin Federline. So I have a pile of humorous names that I fool with these guys under. And I have 16 million in fake checks sitting in my my email box from these guys to Sir IP Freely. I think KJ had a breakdown. I think that's what that part of it was about last night. The breakdown, freak out, let's get drunk. Because she does that too. That's par for the course. That's what she does. That's her thing. Instead of doing the thing that the Queen did, and that's what I'm calling Tati Westbrook. Every time I see Tati, whether she's got makeup on or not, I'm just like, damn, that girl is gorgeous. I just can't get over it. And I think that plays into part of why Tati was so attacked by KJ. She attacks anybody that's better looking or more successful than her. Like Emily D. Baker, now Molly Golightly. So we don't know. You can get some great names from The Simpsons when Bart calls Moe's Tavern. John, I know. And it's funny because the Scampator community I was part of, we have some great ones. The Bates listed by Hey, Would You Blow Me are some of the most funniest things I've ever seen. So when I see those names popping up, I'm like, oh yeah, Simpsons. Some on. N.E. None. Yeah, that's a good one. That is a really good one. And I have a fair amount of those I've used in my book on my old church because I don't want anyone there coming after me with a shotgun. And instead of directly talking about people, most of the people there are an amalgamation of various people rather than one person. And Mike Hunt is one I have to go ahead and use because it's too comical when people say that. Oh, man. Remember that from Porky's movie, yeah? Okay, you guys, it's been over an hour. I am running out of air. I'm running out of steam. I've got to go lay down for a while. I'm just relieved I don't have COVID, and I've got to watch through Llama Girls clips of what happened last night because I still haven't seen all of it. KJ attacking other women goes right back to being that pitiful kid in middle school. She's going after attractive, intelligent women because she is jealous. 100%. 100%. 100%. Love you guys. Have a great Sunday. Avoid getting those emails from her lawyer if you can.